politics are today?
I'm about as Islamic as they are. Other religions are stupid. They are. Yeah. Because people are dummies. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what he's...
See, there you go, blaming the public. I mean...
I should blame the public. We all should. No idea, like I said...
Jihadism.
Still am.
I know.
Yes, I think that Islam is not like other religions. That is a unique threat. That if you believe the Christian religion, you should be killed for it. Stoning is the appropriate punishment for adultery. I'm sure you know...
they will say, look, Islam is a religion of peace. Do you buy that?
Yeah, they blow you up. There's a PC over there. There's a PC over there. There's a PC over there. Is it a religion of peace? I don't know. I have not read the Quran in its original. When you read the translation, there are many, many, many passages that are not peaceful at all.
Bill Maher confronted a Muslim apologist on the issue of apostasy to talk about a nibbling issue that many people prefer to avoid. But the exchange that followed was so brutal it left the whole set in complete disarray. Let's get into it.
But size him up for me. We'll come back to your politics in a moment. The president, I mean, he's going through now, facing the reality of ISIS. And when I think about that, your politics were in part defined by 9/11. You.
Well, I think for whatever I have, it's worked great.
Tell me where your politics are today.
I'm about as Islamic as they are. Other religions are stupid. They are. Yeah. Because people are dummies. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what he's...
See, there you go, blaming the public. I mean...
I should blame the public. We all should. They are idiots. Look at the polling. Look at things they believe.
They're idiots?
Yeah, they're absolute idiots. They have no idea, like I said...
Jihadism.
Still am.
I know.
Yes, I think that Islam is not like other religions. That is a unique threat.
Maher's core argument was simple. Islam, as practiced in many parts of the world today, cannot be treated as just another harmless religion when its rules are enforced with violence. But the apologist tried to distance ordinary Muslims from extremist groups like ISIS, and Maher pushed back hard on this point.
Christian religion, you should be killed for it. Stoning is the appropriate punishment for adultery. I'm sure you know these things.
I know. Well, I do.
So to claim that this religion is like other religions is just naive and plain wrong. It is not like other religions. I beheaded 19 people. Most for non-violent crimes, including homosexuality.
Those that didn't got the hands off the thief.
Right. Okay, Saudi Arabia does it, and they're our good friend. But, I mean, in Mecca, where infidels, non-Muslims, are not even allowed in the holy parts of the city. I mean, right there, we don't have that example in other religions. Okay, they do behead people.
Would you come to this table and have a debate about this with a moderate Muslim?
Find one, yes. Find one.
I promise you, I'll find one.
Find a Muslim.
I do believe that what we see with ISIS is not representative of...
He did not claim that most Muslims are outrightly violent. Instead, he focused on something more uncomfortable, that large numbers of Muslims openly support illiberal laws, especially laws that punish people for leaving the faith. And this can be seen in many Muslim-majority countries. Maher then made a comparison that cut through the discussion.
Connecting tissue.
It's not representative of the Islamic religion.
Again,
I don't think the Quran teaches them to do this kind of thing.
Well, you're wrong about that. The Quran absolutely has on every page stuff that's horrible about how the infidel should be treated. We should perform genital mutilation on all women 11 to 46. Right. Would most Muslims agree with that? No. Or carry it out? No. They need permission to leave the house in some places.
But a lot of...
It's true, Christianity and other religions went through violent phases in history, but they no longer enforce religious rules through state violence. The strongest moment came when Maher pointed to Saudi Arabia. And he's not wrong with that comparison because over there public beheadings happen under Islamic law, in the very heartland of the religion, yet are often excused or ignored by Western liberals.
All right, that's so on September 12th, which is a couple of days from now.
That's right, Friday night we reveal the big loser.
And so what happens if you are the big winning loser?
Well, then for the next couple of months until Election Day, Khmer Rouge-like activities, just kill people indiscriminately, yes. And would most Muslim people in the world do that or condone that? No. I mean,
his criticism was not aimed at Muslims as people, but at what he calls the soft bigotry of low expectations. The idea that Muslims should not be held to the same moral standards as everyone else.
Putting an idea out there. I'm not looking to become a political operative. I'm a comedian who's a citizen as well, and if I feel strongly about something, I will I don't feel bad about doing my citizenry right.
Maher's point was clear. Defending human rights means being honest about ideas, even when those ideas are religious. And on apostasy, he argued, honesty is long overdue.
To see
you too, Charlie. Thanks.
Bill Maher will be in Washington, D.C. I don't have it, but tell us where you're going to be in
September 12th.
September 12th.
Live show,
and
then running across literally to another theater to do a live stand-up special. It's a kind of a stunt, kind of a dare, and I wish I hadn't said I was going to do it, but now I have to go through with it. It's going to be a...
There you go.
I better take my ginseng.
You should. Thank you for joining us.
The next time someone confronted Bill Maher on something more controversial than this, it was during his real-time show with CNN's Anderson Cooper. You'd never guess how it went.
Bill Maher, in a recent Vanity Fair article, when asked to describe his current state of mind, he answered, cautiously pessimistic. Bill Maher joins me now. Bill,
When people talk about Bill Maher and Islam, especially his viewers' reactions to his comments on violence, the thing you have to understand is this. Maher is anything else but polite. And whether you agree with him or not, that honesty is exactly why his audience keeps leaning in instead of tuning out.
watch list be able to buy guns?
Well, you know, this is America, Anderson. Everyone should be able to buy guns, as many as they want, as often as they want, to use wherever they want. That's the American way. You know, the most important amendment is the Second Amendment. Everything comes after that. I'm kidding, of course. No, I'm for gun control. You know, that would be controlling guns to a degree. It's an interesting question that sort of catches the right wing because, I mean, they're against terrorism, but then again, they're for guns.
Well, and I mean, it's interesting. The GAO,
but, you know, we do live in a
GAO said like 91% of those on the no-fly list, you know, could pass background checks and get guns. I think.
In this Anderson Cooper interview, you can almost hear Maher's frustration bubbling under the jokes. He starts with humor, as he always does, pretending to be some hardcore gun absolutist, then immediately pulling the rug out and admitting he supports gun control. But once the laughter fades, the conversation shifts into something heavier: terrorism, religion, and the uncomfortable space where politics refuses to give straight answers.
Right. I also think we should change the no-fly list to the no getting on the damn plane list. I think they need to make that a little more clear to
more
people.
Specific. The initial reaction that the New York's mayor and some other politicians had was that this was a lone wolf, a one-off. Do you think they were being too politically correct?
I don't think it matters. You know, I think what matters is that there are a lot of young Muslim men in this country and overseas who are on the edge here. I mean, this guy, like a lot of the terrorists we find out about, wasn't poor. You know, he was living this middle-class life. And then, you know, the backup plan, terrorism.
Maher isn't impressed by the lone wolf explanation that gets rolled out every time there's an attack. Not because he thinks every Muslim is dangerous, but because he thinks pretending there's no pattern is dishonest. And here's where Maher says something that really sticks.
Remember, the house was underwater or something, and then, you know, I know I'm a broken record about religion, but, you know, when that stuff is in your head, it just gives you this neurological disorder, and, you know, anything is possible. I don't think the problem is that guys like this hate America. I think the problem is that they like America, and they feel guilty about it. You know, they come here, and they like eating at Chili's, and they like the water slide, and they like going to the strip club. And then they get on their jihadi websites, and they feel terribly guilty about it, and they decide, well, if things go bad, or maybe they don't decide. This guy didn't look like he had much of a plan. But it just hits them, you know. Yes, visiting a painful chastisement on the infidel. Yeah, that's appealing too. Or I might go home and watch Nip Tuck.
You see, Maher's argument isn't about race. It's about ideas. He keeps coming back to religion as a kind of mental software. Put certain beliefs in someone's head, and suddenly things that would once be unthinkable feel justified. That's not unique to Islam, he admits.
Those two?
Yeah, it seems like that.
In your show last week, you took on Islamic radicals who made threats against the creators of South Park. I want to show our viewers some of what you said.
When South Park got threatened last week by Islamists incensed at their depiction of Muhammad, it served, or should serve, as a reminder to all of us that our culture isn't just different than one that makes death threats to cartoonists. It's better. Because when I make a joke about the Pope, He doesn't send one of the Swiss guards in their striped pantaloons to stick a pike in my ass. When I make a Jewish joke, rabbis make kvetch about it, but they don't pull out a scimitar and threaten an adult circumcision. And when I insult Scientology, the worst that happens is
Christianity had its moment too. Inquisitions, witch trials, all of it. The difference in his view is power. Those ideas no longer run Western society. They don't have teeth anymore.
I mean, why is Islam the one religion about which so many in America and the West censor themselves when it comes to talking about or making fun of? Is it just fear?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because they're violent, because they threaten us, and they are threatening. They bring that desert stuff to our world. I said the same thing Friday night. You know, we don't threaten each other. We sue each other. That's the sign of civilized people. And they don't. You know, yes, we do have religious nuts in this country. There was a cleric in Iran who recently said that earthquakes were caused by slutty women. Well, Pat Robertson once said that abortions caused hurricanes, I think. But the difference is Pat Robertson doesn't have the power to cut your arms off. You know, I mean, people who want to gloss over the difference between Western culture and Islamic culture and forget about the fact that the Islamic culture is 600 years younger and that they are going through the equivalent of what the West went through with our Middle Ages, our Dark Ages, when religion had way too much power. And we had inquisitions and things like that.
When Anderson brings up Muslims saying Islam is a religion of peace, Maher makes a sweeping statement that takes Cooper by surprise.
At their peril. You know, when they caught this guy, yeah, go ahead.
No, when you hear, you know, the off refrain from American Muslims, and the vast majority of American Muslims, you know, abhor this kind of stuff, you know, they will say, look, Islam is a religion of peace. Do you buy that?
Yeah, they blow you up. There's a PC over there. There's a PC over there. There's a PC over there. Is it a religion of peace? You know, I don't know. I have not read the Quran in its original. When you read the translation, there are many, many, many passages that are not peaceful at all, that are about killing the infidel and so forth. There are many passages like that in the Bible too. Not as many. And we don't take it seriously. That's the difference.
And yes, the Bible has violent verses too. But here's the line that really defines his worldview. We don't take ours literally anymore. That's the gap. Western society's moved on. Some parts of the Islamic world haven't or won't or can't yet.
If we took the Bible seriously, we'd look over our fence on Sunday morning, see our neighbor mowing his lawn and think, working on Sunday, I really should kill him. But we don't do that. But, you know, there are entire schools. You know this, Anderson. You're a globetrotter. You've been to madrasas in Pakistan and so forth. Entire schools where the kids read just one book. They're memorizing the Quran. That's all they do. You know, that's not what we do in this country.
I want to talk a little bit about what's happening on the...
For Maher's viewers, this doesn't land as hate. It lands as a warning. They hear someone saying, stop pretending all belief systems behave the same in the real world. Stop flattening every culture into one moral category just to avoid awkward conversations. You can defend Muslim individuals while still criticizing dangerous ideas. Those two things aren't opposites, even if modern politics pretends they are.
The perspective, do you just come to the conclusion that all religion is essentially harmful, or do you see any value in those of us who have some level of faith and practice it fervently?
Well, there's no denying that some good has come about from religion. I mean, there are soup kitchens and charities and missionaries and so forth. That's undeniable, and I don't try to deny it. What I would say is that it comes at a terrible price. Suicide bombings and religious wars and crusades and burning witches and having sex with children, and I could go on. And there is absolutely no reason why charitable ethical acts can't take place without the myths, without the things that actually cause all this harm in the world.
But many of us, I think, would take issue, Bill, that church bombings or suicide killings are the result of true religion, but a perversion of true religion. There are excesses in everything. There are excesses in sports. I mean, my gosh, we watched the Philadelphia Phillies fans the other night. I don't think anybody would say that that's just the way every sports fan behaves who starts rocking cars and burning things. So is it a little harsh to say that if you find some excesses, even in religion, that it doesn't mean that there's some authenticity in it as well?
Well, you're apologizing away an awful lot of violence and hatred in the world to excess in religion. I mean, the truth is that most wars have been religious wars. Human beings are tribal by nature, and religions just make that situation much, much worse. I mean, why can't ultimately we find peace in Iraq? Why has that been so difficult? It's because two different Muslim sects who believe that a different follower of Muhammad was his successor in the 7th century were pulling each other out of each other's homes and drilling holes in their heads. I mean, it's...
Maher gives voice to a feeling many people have but are afraid to say out loud. You can value tolerance and still demand honesty. You can oppose bigotry and still refuse to lie to yourself.
It's a form of insanity. I'm sorry, it just is.
And are you thinking that all people who are religious are essentially, at some level, insane?
I call it a neurological disorder, yes. I think a part of their mind has been walled off. The question I ask in this movie, and you know, this movie is not an atheistic screed. It's not saying, I know what the truth is and that there is no God. That's not what I'm saying, because I feel that would mirror the kind of certainty that I think is so wrong about religion. What I say is, I don't know. And you don't know either. You don't know what happens when you die, Mike, and I don't know either.
In a media world built on careful language and safe answers, Bill Maher's bluntness feels like oxygen. Thanks for watching. Do drop your takes in the comments below, and see you in the next one.